Alright, in this video tutorial, we're going to be working on the content section. So we'll start from here at the top and we'll just move all the way down through this. And the first thing we need to do is cover these two little top headings. They're side by side, so we have two columns here. Then we'll do the call out box and then just these simple paragraphs of text. So we're going to build both of these elements inside of an unordered list. It's not necessary, you can do them in divs if you want, but an unordered list will work well here. So let's jump back to our code and open up our HTML. We'll navigate down to our content section. I'll delete all of this code that we pasted in earlier. And inside of the content section, we're going to add an unordered list. So I'll just add a UL and I'll close the UL. This unordered list is going to have two list items, one for each of those two boxes. And each of these list items, if we kind of jump back here, you can see, so this is going to be a list item and this is going to be a list item. Each of the list items is going to have a header, an image, and then this little text. So we're going to have a header2 tag. This one's going to be called web design. Can't remember, that's 2 words, I suppose I did that as. They're going to have an image. So I don't have this ready yet, so I'll just fill it blank for now. And then they're also going to have a span with some text, with some lorem ipsum. And then this one down here is basically going to be the exact same thing, the second list item. So that'll have the exact same code there. And this one's not called web design. That second one, I think we called it copywriting. So we'll call that one copywriting. Whoops. And we'll kind of keep those consistent, I suppose. So there's our list items inside of our columns, and now we just need to add a whole bunch of CSS to get these guys to align just the way we want. Now on this particular unordered list, I'm going to give this guy an ID. So I'll say ID equals home boxes. We'll just call them home boxes. We could call this anything you want, really. That allows me to target that guy with CSS. Now let's jump back up to our HTML. I suppose this is a good time to mention one thing. I'm using quite a few IDs inside of my content, ID, and in my selectors, a few of these selectors are quite specific. There's an ID and then there's 1, 2, so this is 4 levels. IDs, while they have many benefits, kind of a current trend or maybe some recommendations in web design are to not use as many IDs and instead use classes. So I don't want to throw that out there as you start to develop your skills and build more websites. A class-based approach to naming a lot of these divs is maybe a little bit better way to go. But until you kind of understand the basis of CSS and classes and IDs, I think it works quite a bit better to do the method that I'm using here, especially when you're learning. So having said that, let's go ahead and flesh out the CSS for those divs. So we'll come clear down in here. After our content div is where we're going to put the code for those, those elements because they're inside of the content. And let's get started. So home boxes, I'll just copy this ID and we'll come down here and say pound home boxes. We're creating a new CSS rule. And the first thing we want to do is, remember this is for the unordered list. So we're going to say home boxes space li because we're going to create a rule for the list items. We're going to float those guys left. So let's save that and refresh. And I must have refreshed too fast. Let me try that again. Oh, it's slowly coming up. There we go. So there's my 2 items. You can see both of those are now floated left. And we need to flesh out the width and height of those elements a little bit as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Now for that list item, let's go ahead and give this guy a width. So the width here is going to be the width of our Photoshop document here. So it's going to be right this area in here. That's 270 is what that was. I know it disappeared pretty quick, but 270 pixels. So let's save and refresh that. And I always like to work with background colors when I'm wireframing like this, just because it makes it so much easier to see the bounds of these guys. So there we go. Now we can see both of those home boxes in place there. And we want to also apply a clear fix to this. So we're going to do back on our UL, because now we've floated, whoops, not that one. Now that we've floated both of these list items, we need to do the clear fix on the parent. So we'll come back up here and say class equals, and we'll apply that same clear fix, save and refresh. And it looks the same, but that now is in fact including the children. We didn't notice that before, but we need to apply that clear fix as well. And now we'll just add some more CSS for each of these objects. So let's go ahead and insert the images, and let's jump back to our Finder here to see what we named those. So it looks like we have our copyright dash icon, and we also have our web dash design dash icon. So back here in our image source, let's paste in that. So it's images slash web design icon dot png, and alt equals web design. So let's save that, make sure that one's loading up correctly, and that's working. And we'll load up the other one here. So back to our browser, the other one is the copyright icon. And let's add that one next. So images slash copyright.png, alt tag copywriting, make sure that that is loaded. So both of those are in place, so that looks good. Now let's add in this paragraph of lorem ipsum text. We'll just jump over to our Photoshop mockup to grab that. So we'll get our select tool here and select that text layer, and come in here and copy that much text, and we'll paste in that lorem ipsum on this one as well as this one, and save and refresh. So now we have that lorem ipsum text. And now we just need to add a little bit more CSS. So the HTML is pretty much done. We need to flesh out the headers. We need to flesh out this text and change the colors, and we'll do that in the next video.